Last time we ended up with weapon size and we're moving on to equipment. 137, page 137 and 138. Improvised weapons. Equipment, weapon size. Equipment, improvised weapons. The last thing it said was the measure of how much effort it takes to use a weapon, whether the weapon is designated as a light, one-handed, or two-handed weapon for a particular wielder, is altered by one step for each size category of difference between the wielder's size and the size of the creature for which the weapon was designed. If a weapon's designation will be changed to something other than light, one-handed, or two-handed by this alteration, the creature cannot wield the weapon at all. Improvised weapons. Sometimes objects not crafted to be weapons nonetheless see use in combat. Because such objects are not designed for this use, any creature that uses one in combat is considered to be non-proficient with it and takes a -4 penalty on attack rolls made with that object. To determine the size category and appropriate damage for an improvised weapon, compare its relative size and damage potential to the weapon list to find a reasonable match. An improvised weapon scores a threat on a natural roll of 20 and deals double damage on a critical hit. An improvised thrown weapon has a range increment of 10 feet. There's a table up here. Tiny and large weapon damage. Medium weapon damage, 1d2. Tiny weapon damage. Large weapon damage, 1d3. And then it goes down, 1d3, 1d4, 1d4, 1d2, 1d6, 1d6, 1d3, 1d8, on and on to 2d10, 2d6, and 4d8. Weapon qualities. Here is the format for weapon entries given as column headings on table. Weapons. Cost. This value is the weapon's cost in gold pieces or silver pieces. The cost includes miscellaneous gear that goes with the weapon. This cost is the same for a small or medium version of the weapon. A large version costs twice the listed price. Damage. The damage columns give the damage dealt by the weapon on a successful hit. The column labeled damage S is for small weapons. The column labeled damage M is for medium weapons. If 2 damage ranges are given, then the weapon is a double weapon. Use the second damage figure given for the double weapon's extra attack. Table, tiny and large weapon damage gives weapon damage values for weapons of those sizes. Critical. The entry in this column notes how the weapon is used with the rules for critical hits. When your character scores a critical hit, roll the damage 2, 3, or 4 times as indicated by its critical multiplier, using all applicable modifiers on each roll, and add all the results together. Exception: extra damage over and above a weapon's normal damage is not multiplied when you score a critical hit. For extra damage is not multiplied when you score a critical hit. Over and above weapon's normal damage. Character scores critical damage. So this is tiny and large weapon damage in table 630. Okay, so anyway, times 2. The weapon deals double damage on a critical hit. Times 3. The weapon deals triple damage on a critical hit. Times 3 / times 4. One head of this double weapon deals triple damage on a critical hit. The other head deals quadruple damage on a critical hit. Times 4. The weapon deals quadruple damage on a critical hit. (19 to 20 times 2). The weapon scores a threat on a natural roll of 19 or 20 instead of just 20, and deals double damage on a critical hit. The weapon has a threat range of 19 to 20. 18 to 20. The weapon scores a threat on a natural roll of 18, 19, or 20 instead of just 20, and deals double damage on a critical hit. The weapon has a threat range of 18 to 20. Range increment. Any attack at less than this distance is not penalized for range. However, each full range increment imposes a cumulative -2 penalty on the attack roll. A thrown weapon has a maximum range of 5 range increments. A projectile weapon can shoot out to 10 range increments. Weight. This column gives the weight of a medium version of the weapon. Halve this number for small and double it for large. Type weapons are classified according to the type of damage they deal: bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing. Some monsters may be resistant or immune to attacks from certain types of weapons. Some weapons deal damage of multiple types. If a weapon is of 2 types, the damage it deals is not half one type and half another. All of it is both types. Therefore, a creature would have to be immune to both types of damage to ignore any of the damage from such a weapon. In other cases, a weapon can deal either of 2 types of damage. In a situation when the damage type is significant, the wielder can choose which type of damage to deal with such a weapon. Special. Some weapons have special features. See the weapon descriptions for details. Weapon descriptions. Weapons found on table weapons that have special options for the wielder, you, are described below. Splash weapons are described under special substances and items. Arrows. An arrow used as a melee weapon is treated as a light improvised weapon, -4 penalty on attack rolls, and deals damage as a dagger of its size. Critical multiplier ×2. Arrows come in a leather quiver that holds 20 arrows. An arrow that hits its target is destroyed. One that misses has a 50% chance of being destroyed or lost. Hmm. Bootsy the Iceman was found with an arrowhead in his back while he was sitting around on the hillside, apparently doing some fletching, field fletching, eating him some jerky. He, he and his copper axe ran up into the mountains, where he was shot and then covered by a glacier for a few millennia. Axe, orc, double. An orc double axe is a double weapon. You can fight with it as if fighting with two weapons. But if you do, you incur all the normal attack penalties associated with fighting with two weapons, just as if you were using a one-handed weapon and a light weapon. A creature wielding an orc double axe in one hand cannot use it as a double weapon. Only one end of the weapon can be used in any given round. I guess if you want to strike your target with the heel of the hand, yeah, wait, bolas. You can use this weapon to make a ranged trip attack against an opponent. You cannot be tripped during your own trip attempt when using a set of bolas. Isn't that thing where you throw it at their ankle and it's like a strap with rocks and it twists up? I think that's what that is. Yeah, I think if you set the campaign, like say in the 17th or 18th century, that would be great. Like I got this whole idea for French explorers in a Lewis and Clark kind of campaign setting. They're rangers. Yeah, good old blunderbuss. I like it. Yes, indeed. Yeah, the fantasy setting. I mean, you could have a world where it's maybe it looks a little medieval, but they have perhaps perfected gunpowder technology, and metal work, and have blunderbusses, cannons, and stuff. Fine, it's cool. You can set your world however you want. Then yeah, I have a campaign idea for Lewis and Clark style French explorers who like go into some wild land to go rafting and fishing and stuff. Maybe they encounter bears. Maybe they encounter Indians. Be fun. Yeah. Ain't enough stuff set in these later times, like 17th, 18th century, and how the movie The Mummy is a great setting, where it's set at the turn of the 20th century, and they got to fight Imhotep. He's immune to shotguns. So yeah, totally. That isn't how humanity might really realistically exist in a fantasy setting. Humanity would probably stick to the grasslands, become intermediaries and stuff. Some people. I mean, in this fantasy setting, are there dwarves and hobbits? There should be dwarves and hobbits. And elves and fairies. Great. Personally, I believe the fairies are real. Weapon qualities, range and commitment. Where was I? Weapon descriptions. Weapon found on table weapons that have special options for the wielder. Yeah, I read that. Orc double axe, bolas, bolts. A crossbow bolt used as a melee weapon is treated as a light improvised weapon. I have some over here. Yeah, I could absolutely mess somebody up with one. But it might do damage to the bolt itself. So, a crossbow bolt used as a melee weapon is treated as a light improvised weapon, -4 penalty on attack rolls, and deals damage as a dagger of its size, critical ×2. Bolts come in a wooden case that holds 10 bolts or 5. We're repeating crossbow. One bolts are just in a quiver. A bolt that hits its target is destroyed. One that misses has a 50% chance of being destroyed or lost. Like I've been out shooting bow and arrow, and you could absolutely find your arrows. I mean, you can lose them, but I have found some arrows that would have been lost. All right. So bullets, sling. Bullets come in a leather pouch that holds 10 bullets. A bullet that hits its target is destroyed. One that misses has a 50% chance of being destroyed or lost. I don't know. We can probably find them. Chain, spiked. A spiked chain has reach, so you can strike opponents 10 feet away with it. In addition, unlike most other weapons with reach, it can be used against an adjacent foe. You can make trip attacks with the chain. If you are tripped during your own trip attempt, you can drop the chain to avoid being tripped. When using a spiked chain, you get a +2 bonus on opposed attack rolls made to disarm an opponent, including the roll to avoid being disarmed if such an attempt fails. You can use the weapon finesse feat to apply your dexterity modifier instead of your strength modifier to attack rolls with a spiked chain sized for you, even though it isn't a light weapon for you. Crossbow, hand. You can draw a hand crossbow back by hand. Loading a hand crossbow is a move action that provokes attacks of opportunity. You can shoot but not load a hand crossbow with one hand at no penalty. You can shoot a hand crossbow with each hand, but you take a penalty on attack rolls as if attacking with two light weapons. Why? If I change the rules for bullets, for sling bullets, you could possibly find them. You have to roll real good to recover them. That's just a game mechanic they obviously wanted to skip over. Okay. Two light weapons. Crossbow, heavy. You can draw a heavy crossbow back by turning a small winch. Loading a heavy crossbow is a full round action that provokes attacks of opportunity. Normally, operating a heavy crossbow requires two hands. However, you can shoot but not load a heavy crossbow with one hand at a -4 penalty on attack rolls. You can shoot a heavy crossbow with each hand, but you take a penalty on attack rolls as if attacking with a two-handed weapon. This penalty is cumulative with the penalty for one-handed firing. Odd. All right, here's a big old table. Well, table 6-4 weapons. Table 6-4 weapons. Right, I imagine in such a scenario, human firearm and industrial technology would probably be critical to standing up to the more magical elves. Yeah, probably. Of course, by human, you grow. There's only one type of human that's industrial and proficient at these kinds of things. All on our own. All the other ones just live in the Stone Age until we show up. There's only one type of technologically industrious human. There was an interesting proposal for a fantasy setting from the Templin Institute along these lines called Hero. It was a fascinating concept for a setting. Yeah, sounds cool. Yeah, humans being well, yeah, at first, say in the Stone Age of such a setting, you would have that. But once the humans started figuring out metallurgy, the thing is, I think the elves have metallurgy in Tolkien's setting. The dwarves certainly do. How it starts is I'm not sure if he ever wrote about how they developed their metalworking technologies. He was more interested in linguistics, and the linguistics of his books is fantastic. And Tim Wilson was basically fantasy meets World War One. Okay, World War One. It's quite industrial. At least in Europe, it is. It was this turn of the 20th century, same as the Mummy. where it's prior to World War One, I think, or like maybe during it, because there's war going on in Libya in the film. Or there's a battle. At the beginning, there's a battle. Because the Libyans are occupying Hamunaptra, so they're fighting off the locals from defending Hamunaptra. Yeah. But yeah, something like the mummy. I'll fight the Imhotep. Go find the treasure. But remember, that's what it's about, man. It's about going find treasure. Treasure hunters. Books to put in my library. She's my favorite character. I am a librarian. Oh, what a great character. What a great film is The Mummy. It is truly fantastic. It would be great for a game set. Go out there and fight the Bedouin. Can you defeat the Bedouin? I mean, everywhere else but Europe. Yeah. Europe was industrial at that time, and the rest of the world was like barely above like Bronze Age, Iron Age levels of technology. And the engines remained in the Stone Age until Whitey showed up. And, like Alexander the Great went and conquered parts of like northern India. And when he left, I mean, it all just like stayed like it was. Until later on, the British Empire showed up. So yeah, British Empire. British Empire days. How about that for a fantasy setting? Let's go in Empire. Yeah, yeah. I'm going to sing. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. So this is table 6-4. Weapons. Simple weapons. Cost, damage, small, damage, medium, critical, and range increment. Unarmed attacks. Gauntlet. Cost is 2 gold pieces. Damage for a small gauntlet is 1d2. Damage for a medium gauntlet is 1d3. Critical times 2. It has no range increment. Unarmed strike. There's no cost. Damage for small is 1d2, and there's a 3 here. Where's the 3? I'm seeing superscript. Where's the information for it? I don't see it. Anyway. What's this information for? The superscript, yeah. Gauntlet spike. Your opponent cannot use a disarm action to use it. Cool. China could have industrialized before. No, they can't. This had nothing. I'm not sure it was exactly a decision. People can do what they can do. Some people have it in their nature, and some don't. And the East Asians, probably the ones that have gotten the closest merging away. Well, that's because a whole lot of the Indo-Europeans went and invaded those parts of the world and left the absolute treasure that is our DNA and some of the populations over there. There's Indo-Aryan languages in Sri Lanka. There's a people called the Alans in Korea that are very like whitish yellow. They're like off-white. I don't like how the Syrians are. But that's further west from, but yeah. There are parts of Asia that were clearly conquered by ancient migrations of Indo-Europeans. And that's why your abilities are encoded in your DNA and in astrology. So, unarmed strike, damage 1d2, damage medium 1d3, critical +2. Light melee weapons. A dagger is worth 2 gold pieces. So damage for a small one is 1d3. Damage for a medium one is 1d4. Critical is 19 to 20 times 2. And its range increment is 10 feet. So you can throw a dagger 10 feet. Dagger punching. And it doesn't have a range increment. It's worth 2 gold pieces. Damage for a small one is 1d3. Damage for medium is 1d4. Critical is times 3. Gauntlet spiked. Also no range increment on this. Cost is 5 gold pieces. Damage for a small one is 1d3. Damage for medium is 1d4. Critical times 2. Mace light. No range increment. Cost 5 gold pieces. Damage for small is 1d4. Damage for medium is 1d6. Critical times 2. Sickle is worth 6 gold pieces. Small 1d4. Medium 1d6. Critical times 2. No range increment. I could probably throw a sickle. One-handed melee weapons. Club, no cost. 1d4 damage, small. 1d6 damage, medium. Critical times 2, range increment 10 feet. You can throw your club 10 feet. Mace, heavy. Cost is 12 gold pieces. Damage for small 1d6, damage medium 1d8, critical times 2. Says you can't range increment a heavy mace. Morning Star, a weird formatting problem here. Cost is 8 gold pieces. Damage for small is 1d6. Damage for medium is 1d4 and 1d6. And critical is times 2. And you have no range increment on it. Short Spear. There we go. Cost is 1 gold piece. Morning Star is 8 gold pieces and a heavy mace is 12. Wow. Short Spear, 1 gold piece. Damage 1d4. Small damage, medium damage is 1d6. Critical is times 2. Range increment is 20 feet. Yes, finally. Something you can throw at 20 feet. Melee weapons. Long spear. 5 gold pieces. Small damage is 1d6. Medium damage 1d8. Critical times 3. And no range increment. Quarter staff. No cost. Damage for small 1d4. 1d4. Medium 1d6. 1d6. Critical times 2. So quarterstaff works as a 2-handed weapon. Spear, 2 gold pieces. Small damage 1d6. Medium damage 1d8. Critical times 3. Range increment 20 feet. Ranged weapons. Crossbow, heavy. 50 gold pieces. Small damage 1d8. Medium damage 1d10. Critical 19 to 20 times 2. And Range increment is 120 feet. I think my crossbow can beat that. Anyway, bolts for the crossbow. 10. Cost 1 gold piece. Crossbow lead. 35 gold pieces. Small damage 1d6. Medium damage 1d8. Critical 19 to 20 times 2. Range increment 80 feet. Bolts crossbow 10. 1 gold piece. Okay, why is it listed twice like that? Dart. Five gold pieces. Damage for small is 1d3. Damage medium is 1d4. And critical is times 2. And range increment is 20 feet. Javelin. 1 gold piece. Damage for small 1d4. Damage for medium 1d6. Critical range increment 30 feet. Sling. No cost. Damage for small 1d3. Bullets with a sling of 1 silver piece. The sling has no cost, but the bullets with a sling is 1 silver piece. Damage 1d3, 1d4, critical times 2, and range increment is 50 feet. Crossbow. Crossbow's the only thing better. Javelin's 30 feet. Sling's feet. Martial weapons. Cost damage, small damage, medium, critical, and range increment. Let's say axe. Throwing. 8 gold pieces, 1d4, 1d6 times 2, 10 feet. Hammer, light, 1 gold piece, 1d3, 1d4 times 2, 20 feet. Hand axe, 6 gold pieces, 1d4, 1d6 times 3. Kukri, oh, got one of those. It's really great. No, it should have a range increment. I can throw it real good. It'll cost 8 gold pieces, 1d3, 1d4, 18 to 20 times 2. It should have a range increment of like 10 feet. Man, I gotta throw mine real good. Pick light. 4 gold pieces, 1d3, 1d4 times 4. A sap, 1 gold piece, 1d4, 1d6 times 2. And there's asterisks here. There's like superscript 3s. Let's see where. Never read what that means. I think I left it out. Shield, like special, 1d2, 1d3 times 2. Spiked armor, special, 1d4, 1d6 times 2. Spiked shield, light, special, 1d3, 1d4 times 2. Short sword, 10 gold pieces, 1d4, 1d6, 19, 20 times 2, and still no range increment. Although I could throw a short sword. Probably not. Discus, a spiked shield if it was small. And a light shield should have a range increment. You could totally like discus a light shield at your enemy. The section at the table over here where there's weight and type. So gauntlet weighs a pound, bludgeoning type damage. Most things weigh a pound. The light mace weighs 4 pounds. Okay, let's see. Unarmed strikes, bludgeoning, dagger, piercing, gauntlet, bludgeoning, sickle, slashing damage, bludgeoning, piercing, bludgeoning, piercing, bludgeoning, slashing, bludgeoning, slashing, piercing, bludgeoning, piercing. All right. A short sword of piercing damage, so it's spiked shield, but the shield blade is bludgeoning. Crossbow. Light. You draw a light crossbow back by pulling a lever. Loading a light crossbow is a move action that provokes attacks of opportunity. Normally, operating a light crossbow requires 2 hands. However, you can shoot but not load a light crossbow with 1 hand at a -2 penalty on attack rolls. You can shoot a light crossbow with each hand, but you take a penalty on attack rolls as if attacking with 2 light weapons. This penalty is cumulative with the penalty for one-handed firing. That is definitely repeated. There's a crossbow hand. Okay, this is crossbow light. Crossbow repeating. The repeating crossbow, whether heavy or light, holds 5 crossbow bolts. As long as it holds bolts, you can reload it by pulling the reloading lever, a free action. Loading a new case of 5 bolts is a full-round action that provokes attacks of opportunity. You can fire a repeating crossbow with 1 hand, or fire a repeating crossbow in each hand in the same manner as you would a normal crossbow of the same size. However, you must fire the weapon with 2 hands in order to use the reloading lever, and you must use 2 hands to load a new case of bolts. Dagger. You get a +2 bonus on sleight of hand checks made to conceal a dagger on your body. See the sleight of hand skill. Flail. Dagger. A dagger flail is a double weapon. You can fight with it as fighting with 2 weapons. But if you do, you incur all of the normal attack penalties associated with fighting with 2 weapons, just as if you were using a one-handed weapon and a light weapon. A creature wielding a dire flail in one hand cannot use it as a double weapon. Only one end of the weapon can be used in any given round. When using a dire flail, you get a +2 bonus on opposed attack rolls made to disarm an enemy, including the opposed attack roll to avoid being disarmed if such an attempt fails. So you get a +2 bonus on all those rolls. You can also use this weapon to make trip attacks. If you are tripped during your own trip attempt, you can drop the dire flail to avoid being tripped. One-handed melee weapons. Let's see, so battle axe, 10 gold pieces, 1d6, 1d8 times 3, 6 pounds, and slashing damage. Flail, 8 gold pieces, 1d6, 1d8 times 2, 5 pounds, bludgeoning. Longsword, 15 gold pieces, 1d6, 1d8, 19 to 20 times 2, 4 pounds, and slashing damage. And this should have ranges. Battle axe, flail, longsword. You could throw Braveheart's sword pretty good. Pick, heavy. Yeah, it'd be hard to throw one of those. 8 gold pieces, 1d4, 1d6 times 4, 6 pounds, and piercing damage. Rapier, 20 gold pieces, 1d4, 1d6, 18 to 20 times 2, and 2 pounds, and piercing damage, I think. Scimitar, 15 gold pieces, 1d4, 1d6, 18 to 20 times 2, 4 pounds, and slashing damage. And you can't throw a scimitar? I think you could throw a scimitar. Shield, heavy, special, 1d3, 1d4 times 2. You could totally throw a heavy shield, but no, not there. There's no range on the chart. Anyway, shield. Okay, so shield heavy. It says special and bludgeoning. Spiked shield. Special and piercing. Trident, 15 pieces, 1d6, 1d8 times 2, 10 feet. You can throw the trident 10 feet. It weighs 4 pounds and does piercing damage. The others weigh, less than that. Well, it's 4 pounds. The scimitar weighs 4 pounds. You could totally throw it, but there's no number on the chart. I could throw a scimitar. and homebrew rules. Yeah, the Chinese didn't choose anything. They're just genetically inferior. Okay, so Trident, Warhammer, 10 feet. No, that's for the Trident. Warhammer, you can't throw 5 pounds, bludgeoning damage. Two-handed melee weapons, fashion, 75 gold pieces. Let's see. It's like 10, 8, 15, 8, 20, 15, 15, 12, 75 for the fashion. 1d6, 2d4, 18 to 20 times 2, no range, 8 pounds, and does slashing damage. The heaviest and most expensive thing so far. The glaive. 8 gold pieces, 1d8, 1d10 times 3, 10 pounds, and slashing damage. No range. Great Axe, 20 gold pieces, 1d10, 1d12 times 3, no range, 12 pounds, and slashing damage. Okay, the Great Club, 5 gold pieces, 1d8, 1d10 times 2, no range, 8 pounds, bludgeoning damage. Flail, heavy, 15 gold pieces, 1d8, 1d10, 19 to 20 times 2, 10 gold pieces, bludgeoning damage. Great Sword, 50 gold pieces, 1d10, 2d6, 19 to 20 times 2, 8 pounds, and slashing damage. Gaze arm, 9 gold pieces, 1d6, 2d4 times 3, 12 pounds, slashing damage, no range. Halberd, 10 gold pieces, 1d8, 1d10 times 3, 12 pounds, piercing or slashing. There's a halberd. Anyway, lance, 10 gold pieces. 1d6, 1d8 times 3. No range on the lance nor the on the halberd. You throw the halberd or the lance. You just poke with it, apparently. So times 3. It weighs. The lance is great. So 10 pounds, does piercing damage. The halberd, 10 pounds in piercing. And then that's rams through. Oh, yeah, the halberd is piercing or slashing. Yeah. The rams through are 10 gold pieces. 1d6, 2d4 times 3, no range. 12 pounds and piercing damage. The scythe, 18 gold pieces. 1d6, 2d4 times 4. I could throw one. 10 pounds, piercing or slashing. Could boomerang you at you. A scythe for me. Range weapons. Longbow, 75 gold pieces. 1d6, 1d8 times 3, 100 foot. And then 3 pounds and piercing. So you can, there's a range on the longbow for 100 feet. But that should be on the arrows, not for the bow itself. It should not be a range on the bow. It should be a range on the arrows. This is a messed up chart. Yeah, I rewrite the game rules. And I include free-for-all stuff. So yeah, make it more sense. Rewrite the rules. Range should 100-foot range should be on the arrows, not the bow itself. Longbow composite. 100 gold pieces. 1d6, 1d8 times 3, 110 feet. So longbow was 75, 1d6, 1d8 times 3. 3 pounds and piercing damage. The arrows, it says weight 3 pounds. Yeah, 3 pounds ain't much. Longbow composite. Arrows, 20. 3 pounds. It should say piercing damage on the arrows, not on the bow. Dang it. It's messed up. Short bow, 30 gold pieces, 1d4, 1d6. And 360 feet, 2 pounds. And piercing, it should be on arrows. 1 piece, 3 pounds. It's messed up. Short bow, composite, arrows. So short bow, 75, 1d4, 1d6 times 3. Arrows, 73 pounds piercing damage. Exotic weapons. Cost, damage, small damage, medium, critical, range increment. Light melee weapons, a comma. 2 gold pieces, 1d4, 1d6 times 2. Range increment, I can throw a comma. Weight, 2 pounds, type slashing damage. I could totally throw a comma at you. Nunchaku, I could throw those for sure. Need be 2 gold pieces. Damage 1d4, 1d6 times 2. Range increment none. Weight 2 pounds and bludgeoning damage. On the side. 1 gold piece. 1d3, 1d4 times 2, 10 feet. You could throw the side 10 feet. I could definitely throw a side 10 feet. And 1 pound and bludgeoning damage. Sting him. 3 gold pieces. 1d4, 6 times 2, no range. 1 pound and piercing damage. I don't know what a sting him is. Sunrise. One-handed melee weapons. Sword. Bastard. 35 gold pieces. 1d8, 1d10, 19 to 20 times 2. 6 pounds and slashing damage, no range. Oryx. Dwarven. 30 gold pieces. 1d8, 1d10 times 3. No range. 8 pounds. Slashing damage. Whip. 1 gold piece. 1d2, 1d3 times 2. No range. That's weird. Why is there no range on the whip? That doesn't make sense. Clearly, the whip is a ranged weapon. I mean, somewhat. Kind of like the flail, which also doesn't have a range on it. Flail up here, not matter. Whip is 2 pounds. The slashing damage? Yeah. Two-handed melee weapon. They don't have no problem anyway. Two-handed melee weapons. Axe, fork, double. 60 gold pieces. 1d6, 1d6, 1d8, 1d8 times 3, 15 pounds, and slashing. No range. Chain spiked. There's no range on the spiked chain. 25 gold pieces, 1d6, 2d4 times 2, 10 pounds and piercing. I mean, clearly, if you, I guess you're just rolling it out and hoping they step on it. Flail dire. 90 gold pieces, 1d6, 1d6, 1d8, 1d8, and times 2. Okay. Yeah, it's one of those double-headed. I got one of those somewhere. My dad does. Pappy has one. Hammer. Gnome hooked. Gnome hooked hammer. Gnomes. Gnome weapons. 20 gold pieces. 1d6, 1d4, 1d8, 1d6 times 3 times 4. 6 pounds. Bludgeoning and piercing. With a gnome hooked hammer. Sword, two-bladed, 100 gold pieces. 1d6, 1d6, 1d8, 1d8, 19 to 20 times 2. No range on sword, two-bladed. 10 gold pounds. No, 10 pounds. How many pieces it was? 100 gold pieces. 10 pounds slashing damage. Oh, yeah, I'm okay. I just have asthma. So I gotta take a nebulizer treatment. Oh, here we go. Here's the finally found the places to read about the numbers. All right. Flail iron, hammer, sword, two-bladed. Urgrosh, dwarven. 50 gold pieces. 1d6, 1d4, 1d8, 1d6 times 3. No range. 12 pounds slashing or piercing. Ranged weapons. Bolas. 5 gold pieces. 1d3, 1d4 times 2. 10 feet on the bolas. 2 pounds and bludgeoning damage. Crossbow. Hand. Again, the range shouldn't be on the crossbow, but on the bolts, as well as the damage, piercing damage. So I'm going to read it as if it's written correctly. Crossbow, hand, 100 gold pieces, 1d3, 1d4, 19 to 20 times 2, 2 pounds. Bolts, 1 gold piece, 30 feet, 1 pound, piercing damage. Oh, I heard something outside. Mm-hmm. Crossbow bolt. The net. 20 gold pieces. It doesn't have damage. Then the bolt. Net damage. 10 feet. 6 pounds. For some reason, the bolt's weight and net's weight is here in the range section for some reason. That's messed up. It should be over here. Okay, shuriken. 5. 1 gold piece. 1 damage. 1d2. Small one does 1. Just says 1. 1d2 for medium. Times 2 critical. 10 feet. Half a pound. Piercing damage. Yeah, so there's like a messed up table here. Yeah. All right, so here we go. Finally, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Weight figures are for medium weapons. A small weapon weighs half as much, and a large weapon weighs twice as much. When 2 types are given, the weapon is both types if the entry specifies and, or either type. Player's choice at time of attack if the entry specifies or. Weapon deals non-lethal damage rather than lethal damage. 4 reach weapon, 5 double weapon. Okay. Reach weapons. Yeah, 4, so reach weapon. Okay. Okay, so it's not a ranged weapon, it's a reach weapon. I'm dumb. Alright. Let's see. Okay, so flail. With flail, you get +2 bonus on opposed attack rolls made to disarm an enemy, including the rule to avoid being disarmed if such an attempt fails. You could also use this weapon to make trip attacks. If you are tripped during your own trip attempt, you can drop the flail to avoid being tripped. Gauntlet. This mode of glove lets you deal lethal damage rather than non-lethal damage with unarmed strikes. A strike with a gauntlet is otherwise considered an unarmed attack. The cost and weight given are for a single gauntlet. Medium and heavy armors, except breastplate, come with gauntlets. Gauntlet spiked. Your opponent cannot use a disarm action to disarm you of spiked gauntlets. The cost and weight given are for a single gauntlet. An attack with a spiked gauntlet is considered an armed attack. Glaive. Glaive has reach. You can strike opponents 10 feet away with it, but you cannot use it against an adjacent foe. Guisarme. A guisarme has reach. You can strike opponents 10 feet away with it, but you cannot use it against an adjacent foe. So yeah, whip is a reach weapon. I was like, there's no range on it, but it's a reach weapon. Which means they should just put 5 feet right there on the range or something. Put a little 4 for reach. You can use it to make trip attacks. The guisarme. If you are tripped during your own trip attempt, you can drop the guisarme to avoid being tripped. Halberd. If you use a ready action to set a halberd against a charge, you deal double damage on a successful hit against a charging character. You can use a halberd to make trip attacks. If you are tripped during your own trip attempt, you can drop the halberd to avoid being tripped. I think Westernheim's destiny is to colonize space. Probably, at least our own solar system. Interstellar exploration and colonization is a different matter entirely. Yeah, interstellar. On that note, I have a science fiction story me and my dad are writing about the moon of Jupiter called Callisto. On it is a crater called Valhalla. And I'm writing that they built the base into the side of the crater. And then it gets very macho in their characters. And they have races across the ice in space longboats. And they're there to, search for minerals and resources and study Jupiter. Yeah, there's a base in the crater called Valhalla on the moon Callisto, Jupiter. In my me and my dad's story. Hammer, gnome, hooked. A gnome hooked hammer is a double weapon. You can fight with it as if fighting with two weapons, but if you do, you incur all the normal attack penalties associated with fighting with two weapons. Just as if you were using a one-headed weapon and a light weapon. The hammer's blunt head is a bludgeoning weapon that deals 1d6 points of damage, critical times 3. Its hook is a piercing weapon that deals 1d4 points of damage, critical times 4. You can use either head as the primary weapon. The other head is the offhand weapon. A creature wielding a gnome hooked hammer in one hand cannot use it as a double weapon. Only one end of the weapon can be used in any given round. Gnome hooked hammer, one-handed. Okay. But if it's a gnome hammer, is it really small? Gnome hooked hammer. Hammer. Range. What's the gnome hooked hammer? Oh well. Here it is. 20 gold pieces. 1d6, 1d4, 1d8, 1d6 times 3 times 4. No range, 6 pound, bludgeoning and piercing. Whereas slashing or piercing is an Ugrosh, dwarven. You can use a gnome hooked hammer to make trip attacks. If you are tripped during your own trip attempt, you can drop the gnome hooked hammer to avoid being tripped. Gnomes treat gnome hooked hammers as martial weapons. Javelin. Since it is not designed for melee, you are treated as non-proficient with it and take a -4 penalty on attack rolls if you use javelin as a melee weapon. Yeah. On this thing. Right, there we go. Javelin. 1 gold piece. 1d4, 1d6 times 2, 30 feet, 2 pounds, and piercing damage. 30-foot weapon. Foot range. 30-foot range on that weapon. I think druids can use javelins. Comma. The comma is a special monk weapon. This designation gives monk wielding a comma special options. You can use a comma to make trip attacks and drop a comma to avoid being tripped. Lance. A lance deals double damage when used from the back of a charging mount. It has reach, so you can strike opponents 10 feet away with it, but you cannot use it against an adjacent foe. While mounted, that doesn't make sense. While mounted, you can wield a lance with one hand. You could only use a lance against an adjacent foe. Throw horses and running at each other. While mounted, you can wield a lance with one hand. Alright. Longbow. You need at least 2 hands to use a bow, regardless of its size. A longbow is too unwieldy to use while you are mounted. If you have a penalty for low strength, apply it to damage rolls when you use a longbow. If you have a bonus for high strength, you can apply it to damage rolls when you use a composite longbow. See below, but not a regular longbow. Which makes a little sense. I keep calling them composite. Longbow composite. You need at least 2 hands to use a bow, regardless of its size. That means a bow is constructed by making it out of several strips of wood rather than one long piece of tree. You can use a composite longbow while mounted. All composite bows are made with a particular strength rating, that is, each requires a minimum strength modifier to use with proficiency. If your strength bonus is less than the strength rating of the composite bow, you cannot effectively use it, so you take a -2 penalty on attacks with it. The default composite longbow requires a strength modifier of +0 or higher to use with proficiency. A composite longbow can be made with a high strength rating to take advantage of an above-average strength score. This feature allows you to add your strength bonus to damage up to the maximum bonus indicated for the bow. Each point of strength bonus granted by the bow adds 100 gold pieces to its cost. For purposes of weapon proficiency and similar feats, a composite longbow is treated as if it were a longbow. Long spear. A long spear has reach. You can strike opponents 10 feet away with it, but you cannot use it against an adjacent foe. If you use a ready action to set a long spear against a charge, you deal double damage on a successful hit against a charging character. Spears. Long spears. Twice as long as mine. Oh. Net. A net is used to entangle enemies. When you throw a net, you make a ranged touch attack against your target. A net's maximum range is 10 feet. If you hit, the target is entangled. An entangled creature takes a -2 penalty on attack rolls and a -4 penalty on dexterity. Can move and only have speed, cannot charge or run. If you control the trailing rope by succeeding on an opposed strength check while holding it, the entangled creature can move only within the limits that the rope allows. If the entangled creature attempts to cast the spell, it must make a DC 15 concentration check or be unable to cast the spell. An entangled creature can escape with a DC 20 escape artist check, a full round action. The net has 5 hit points and can be burst with a DC 25 strength check, also a full round action. A net is useful only against creatures within one size category of you. A net must be folded to be thrown effectively. The first time you throw your net in a fight, you make a normal ranged touch attack roll. After the net is unfolded, you take a -4 penalty on attack rolls with it. Oh, that's complicated. It takes 2 rounds for a proficient user to fold a net twice that long for a non-proficient one to do so. And twice that long. Okay, so it takes 2 rounds for a proficient user to fold a net, and 4 rounds for a non-proficient one to fold the net. Nunchaku. The nunchaku is a special monk weapon. This designation gives a monk wielding a nunchaku special options. With a nunchaku, you get a +2 bonus on opposed attack rolls made to disarm an enemy, including the roll to avoid being disarmed if such an attempt fails. I'm gonna freshen up my coffee real quick. Here, page 146. Quarterstaff. A quarterstaff is a double weapon. You can fight with it as if fighting with two weapons. But if you do, you incur all the normal attack penalties associated with fighting with two weapons, just as if you were using a one-handed weapon and a light weapon. A creature wielding a quarterstaff in one hand cannot use it as a double weapon. Only one end of the weapon can be used in any given round. The quarterstaff is a special monk weapon. This designation gives a monk wielding a quarterstaff special options. Ranseur. A Ranseur has reach. You can strike opponents 10 feet away with it, but you cannot use it against an adjacent foe. For a Ranseur, you get a +2 bonus on opposed attack rolls made to disarm an opponent, including a roll to avoid being disarmed if such an attempt fails. Rapier. You can use the weapon finesse speed to apply your dexterity modifier instead of your strength modifier to attack rolls with a rapier sized for you, even though it isn't a light weapon for you. You cannot wield a rapier in two hands in order to apply 1.5 times your strength bonus to damage. So that's why weak little halflings bards can use a rapier. Low strength bard halfling. Sai. With a Sai, you get a +4 bonus on opposed attack rolls made to disarm an enemy, including a roll. Sai. With a Sai, you get a +4 bonus on opposed attack rolls made to disarm an enemy, including the roll to avoid being disarmed if such an attempt fails. The Sai is a special monk weapon. This designation gives a monk wielding it special options. My dad had some Sais, and I picked one up and played with it plenty of times. It's meant to disarm someone wielding a sword. Safe. We got a couple of those at Pappy's house. Big sugarcane field scythes. These scythes can be used to make trip attacks. If you are tripped during your own trip attempt, you can drop the scythe to avoid being tripped. Doubt. Next to doubt. Shield. Heavy or light. You can bash with a shield instead of using it for defense. See armor for details. Drop one of the sides that has. Could definitely trip on it. Short bow. You need at least 2 hands to use a bow, regardless of its size. You can use a short bow while mounted. If you have a penalty for low strength, apply it to damage rolls when you use a short bow. If you have a bonus for high strength, you can apply it to damage rolls when you use a composite short bow. See below, but not a regular short bow. Short bow composite. You need at least 2 hands to use a bow, regardless of its size. You can use a composite short bow while mounted. All composite bows are made with a particular strength rating, that is, each requires a minimum strength modifier to use with proficiency. If your strength bonus is lower than the strength rating of the composite bow, you cannot effectively use it, so you take a -2 penalty on attacks with it. The default composite short bow requires a strength modifier of +0 or higher to use with proficiency. A composite short bow can be made with a high strength rating to take advantage of an above average strength score. This feature allows you to add your strength bonus to damage up to the maximum bonus indicated for the bow. Each point of strength bonus granted by the bow adds 75 gold pieces to its cost. Small doggy. Puppy dog. For purposes of weapon proficiency and similar feats, a composite short bow is treated as if it were a short bow. Short spear. A short spear is small enough to wield one-handed. It may also be thrown. Shuriken. A shuriken is a special monk weapon. This designation gives a monk wielding shuriken special options. A shuriken cannot be used as a melee weapon. Although they are thrown weapons, shuriken are treated as ammunition for the purposes of drawing them, crafting masterwork, or otherwise special versions of them, and what happens to them after they are thrown. My goodness, don't know. Singam. The singam is a special monk weapon. This designation gives a monk wielding a singam special options. Sickle. A sickle can be used to make trip attacks. If you are tripped during your own trip attempt, you can drop the sickle to avoid being tripped. Sling. Your strength modifier applies to damage rolls when you use a sling, just as it does for thrown weapons. You can fire but not load a sling with one hand. Loading a sling is a move action that requires 2 hands and provokes attacks of opportunity. You can hurl ordinary stones with a sling, but stones are not as dense or as round as bullets. Hmm. Let's start over. Sling. Your strength modifier applies to damage rolls when you use a sling, just as it does for thrown weapons. You can fire but not load a sling with one hand. Loading the sling is a move action that requires two hands and provokes attacks of opportunity. You can hurl ordinary stones with a sling, but stones are not as dense or as round as bullets. Thus, such an attack deals damage as if the weapon were designed for a creature one size category smaller than you, and you take a -1 penalty on attack rolls. Spear. A spear can be thrown. If you use a ready action to set a spear against the charge, you deal double damage on a successful hit against a charging character. Spiked armor. You can outfit your armor with spikes, which can deal damage in a grapple or as a separate attack. See armor for details. Spiked shield, heavy or light. You can bash with a spiked shield instead of using it for defense. See armor for details. Strike, unarmed. A medium character deals 1d3 points of non-lethal damage with an unarmed strike. A small character deals 1d2 points of non-lethal damage. A monk, army character with the improved unarmed strike feat, can deal lethal or non-lethal damage with unarmed strikes at her option. The damage from an unarmed strike is considered weapon damage for the purposes of effects that give you a bonus on weapon damage rolls. An unarmed strike is always considered a light weapon. Therefore, you can use the weapon finesse feat to apply your dexterity modifier instead of your strength modifier to attack rolls with an unarmed strike. Sword. Bastard. A bastard sword is too large to use in one hand without special training. Thus, it is an exotic weapon. A character can use a bastard sword two-handed as a martial weapon. Okay, so yeah, cannot wield a bastard sword one-handed. Sword, two-bladed. A two-bladed sword is a double weapon. Like a two-bladed, thing lightsaber, I guess. A two-bladed sword is a double weapon. You can fight with it as if fighting with two weapons. But if you do, you incur all the normal attack penalties associated with fighting with two weapons, just as if you were using a one-handed weapon and a light weapon. A creature wielding a two-bladed sword in one hand cannot use it as a double weapon. Only one end of the weapon can be used in any given round. Trident. This weapon can be thrown. If you use a ready action to set a trident against a charge, you deal double damage on a successful hit against a charging character. That's not a big enough entry. Ugrosh, Dwarven. A Dwarven Ugrosh is a double weapon. You can fight with it as if fighting with two weapons, but if you do, you incur all the normal attack penalties associated with fighting with two weapons, just as if you were using a one-handed weapon and a light weapon. The Ugrosh's axe head is a slashing weapon that deals 1d8 points of damage. Its spearhead is a piercing weapon that deals 1d6 points of damage. Axe head and spearhead. 1d8 points of damage, 1d6 points. You can use either head as the primary weapon. The other is the offhand weapon. A creature wielding a dwarven Ugrosh in one hand cannot use it as a double weapon. Only the one end of the weapon can be used in any given round. If you use a ready action to set or rush against a charge, you deal double damage. If you score a hit against a charging character, if you use an orc rush against the charging character, the spearhead is the part of the weapon that deals damage. Dwarves treat dwarven orc rushes as martial weapons. A war axe, dwarven. A dwarven war axe. A dwarven war axe is too large to use in one hand without special training. Thus, it is an exotic weapon. A medium character can use a dwarven war axe two-handed as a martial weapon, or a large creature can use it one-handed in the same way. A dwarf treats a dwarven war axe as a martial weapon even when using it in one hand. Okay, so whips are reach weapons, not reach weapons. That part of the table could have said range or reach, but anyway. Whip. A whip deals non-lethal damage. It deals no damage to any creature with an armor bonus of +1 or higher, or a natural armor bonus of +3 or higher. The whip is treated as a melee weapon with 15-foot reach, though you don't threaten the area into which you can make an attack. In addition, unlike most other weapons with reach, you can use it against foes anywhere within your reach, including adjacent foes. Using a whip provokes an attack of opportunity, just as if you had used a ranged weapon. You can make trip attacks with a whip. If you are tripped during your own trip attempt, you can drop the whip to avoid being tripped. When you're using a whip, you get a +2 bonus on attack roll. +2 bonus on opposed attack rolls made to disarm an opponent, including the roll to keep from being disarmed if the attack fails. You can use the weapon finesse feat to apply your dexterity modifier instead of your strength modifier to attack rolls with a whip size for you, even though it isn't a light weapon for you. Finesse feat. Masterwork weapons. A masterwork weapon is a finely crafted version of a normal weapon. Wielding it provides +1 enhancement bonus on attack rolls. You cannot add the just +1. You cannot add the masterwork quality to a weapon after it is created. It must be crafted as a masterwork weapon. See the craft skill. The masterwork quality adds 300 gold pieces to the cost of a normal weapon, or 6 gold pieces to the cost of a single unit of ammunition. Adding the masterwork quality to a double weapon costs twice the normal increase, plus 600 gold pieces. Masterwork ammunition is damaged, effectively destroyed when used. The enhancement bonus of masterwork ammunition does not stack with any enhancement bonus of the projectile weapon firing. It should. All magic weapons are automatically considered to be of masterwork quality. The enhancement bonus granted by the masterwork quality doesn't stack with the enhancement bonus provided by the weapon's magic. Why not? Even though some types of armor and shields can be used as weapons. I guess we can make it too good that way. Even though some types of armor and shields can be used as weapons, you cannot create a masterwork version of such an item that confers an enhancement bonus on attack rolls. Instead, masterwork armor and shields have lessened armor check penalties. Goes on attack. Why not? Oh, Masterwork armor and shields have lessened armor check penalties. Okay, dokie. Armor. Armor is worn by those who expect to be in harm's way, or who, by design or misfortune, find themselves there all too often. Most classes provide at least light armor proficiency, letting those who desire such protection wear at least at least. Oh, yeah, at least a little. Bad typo, page 148. Friggin' typo. Under armor, page 148, typos. Typos. So let's read that again and try to skip over the typos. Most classes provide at least light armor proficiency, letting those who desire such protection wear at least a little something between them and the ravages of combat. at least a little. So wear at least a little something between them and the ravages of combat. To wear heavier armor effectively, a character can select the armor proficiency feats. But most classes are automatically proficient with the armor types that work best for them. Armor and shields can take damage from some types of attacks. These attack types are covered under sundering rules or have special qualities explained in their own descriptions. Here is the format for armor entries given as column headings on table armor and shields below. Cost. The cost of the armor for small or medium humanoid creatures. See armor for unusual creatures below for armor prices for other creatures. Armor shield bonus. Each armor grants an armor bonus to AC, while shields grant a shield bonus to AC. The armor bonus from a pseudo armor doesn't stack with other effects or items that grant an armor bonus. Similarly, the shield bonus from a shield doesn't stack with other effects that grant a shield bonus. Maximum dexterity bonus. This number is the maximum dexterity bonus to AC that this type of armor allows. Heavier armors limit mobility, reducing the wearer's ability to dodge blows. This restriction doesn't affect the other dexterity-related abilities. Maximum dex bonus, armor shield bonus. Armor class, armor and shields grant bonuses. Gotcha. Why doesn't it stack? The shield bonus doesn't stack with other effects like grant. Why the hell not? That doesn't make sense. I guess if it did, you could just stack them too much. It'd be unfair. Even if the character's dexterity bonus to AC drops to 0 because of armor, this situation does not count as losing a dexterity bonus to AC. Your character's encumbrance, the amount of gear he or she carries, may also restrict the maximum dexterity bonus that can be applied to his or her armor class. Shields. Shields do not affect the character's maximum dexterity bonus. Armor check penalty. Any armor heavier than leather hurts a character's ability to use some skills. An armor check penalty number is the penalty that applies to balance, climb, escape artist, hide, jump, move, silent, sleight of hand, and tall checks by a character wearing a certain kind of armor. Double the normal armor check penalty is applied to swim checks. A character's encumbrance, the amount of gear carried, including armor, may also apply an armor check penalty. Shields. If a character is wearing armor and using a shield, both armor check penalties apply. Non-proficient with armor worn. A character who wears armor and or uses a shield with which he or she is not proficient takes the armor's and or shield's armor check penalty on attack rolls and on all strength-based and dexterity-based ability and skill checks. The penalty for non-proficiency with armor stacks with the penalty for non-proficiency with shields. Sleeping in armor. A character who sleeps in medium or heavy armor is automatically fatigued the next day. Okay. That's when your character reaches camp, you have to take time to take off your armor and put it away and get in your jammies. He or she takes a -2 penalty on strength and dexterity and cannot charge or run. Sleeping in light armor does not cause fatigue. Alright, light armor gems. Medium or heavy armor. Okay. Arcane spell failure. Armor interferes with the gestures that a spellcaster must make to cast an arcane spell that has a somatic component. Arcane spellcasters face the possibility of arcane spell failure if they are wearing armor. Bards can wear light armor without incurring any arcane spell failure chance for their bard spells. Casting an arcane spell in armor. A character who casts an arcane spell while wearing armor must usually make an arcane spell failure roll. The number in the arcane spell failure chance column on the table armor and shields is the chance that the spell fails and is ruined. If the spell lacks a somatic component, however, it can be cast with no chance of arcane spell failure. Shields. If a character is wearing armor and using a shield, add the two numbers together to get a single arcane spell failure chance. Speed. Medium or heavy armor slows the wearer down. The number on table armor and shields is the character's speed while wearing the armor. Humans, elves, half-elves, and half-orcs have an unencumbered speed of 30 feet. They use the first column. Dwarves, gnomes, and halflings have an unencumbered speed of 20 feet. They use the second column. Remember, however, that a dwarf's land speed remains 20 feet even in medium or heavy armor or when carrying a medium or heavy load. Shields. Shields do not affect a character's speed. Weight. This column gives the weight of the armor sized for a medium wearer. Shields don't affect a character's speed. I don't know about that. This column gives the weight of the armor sized for a medium wearer. Armor fitted for small characters weighs half as much, and armor for large characters weighs twice as much. Armor descriptions. Any special benefits or accessories to the types of armor found on table armor and shields are described below. Armor spikes. You can have spikes added to your armor, which allow you to deal extra piercing damage. See table 6.4 on a successful grapple attack. So, spikes on your armor and you're grappling. Oh my. And the spikes count as a martial weapon. If you are not proficient with them, you take a -4 penalty on grapple checks when you try to use them. You also make a regular melee attack or offhand attack with the spikes, and they count as a light weapon in this case. You cannot also make an attack with armor spikes if you have already made an attack with another offhand weapon, and vice versa. Vice versa. So that means if you attacked with an offhand weapon, you can't then attack with your armor spikes, which, okay. An enhancement bonus to a suit of armor does not improve the spike's effectiveness, but the spikes can be made into magic weapons in their own right. Banded metal. Oh, banded mail. Okay. Banded mail. This type of armor is made from sewing overlapping strips of resistant material, such as metal, over an undergarment of leather or heavy cloth, called banded metal. Sewing metal on leather or heavy cloth. The suit includes gauntlets. Breastplate. Effectively plate mail armor without most of the arm and leg pieces. A breastplate suit concentrates the heaviest armor just over the vitals and leaves the wearer's limbs with limited protection. It comes with a helmet and greaves. Buckler. This small metal shield is worn strapped to your forearm. You can use a bow or crossbow without penalty while carrying it. You can also use your shield arm to wield a weapon, whether you are using an offhand weapon or using your offhand to help wield a two-handed weapon. But you take a -1 penalty on attack rolls while doing so. This penalty stacks with those that may apply for fighting with your offhand and for fighting with two weapons. In any case, if you use a weapon in your offhand, you don't get the buckler's AC bonus for the rest of the round. You don't get buckler's bonus. You cannot bash someone with a buckler. Probably could. Chain shirt. A shirt, usually long-sleeved, of interlocking rings of metal. A chain shirt is the light armor of choice for many warriors interested in effective protection without a great deal of movement restriction. A chain shirt comes with a steel cap. Neat. Good old chain. Chainmail. An extended form of the chain shirt, chainmail armor proper covers the arms and legs of the wearer. This offers heavier protection at the expense of movement and agility. The suit includes gauntlets. Full plate, consisting of a breastplate with a reinforced back, separate plates for the extremities and vulnerable areas of the body, and a raised collar to protect the neck. Full plate is the most effective form of mundane armor commonly available. The suit includes gauntlets, heavy leather boots, a visored helmet, and a thick layer of padding that is worn underneath the armor, as it includes sabatons. Each suit of full plate must be individually fitted to its owner by a master armorsmith, although a captured suit can be resized to fit a new owner at the cost of 200 to 800 to d4 times 100 gold pieces. Gauntlet locked. This armored gauntlet has small chains and braces that allow the wearer to attach a weapon to the gauntlet so that it cannot be dropped easily. It provides a +10 bonus on any roll made to keep from being disarmed in combat. Removing a weapon from a locked gauntlet or attaching a weapon to a locked gauntlet is a full-round action that provokes attacks of opportunity. The price given is for a single locked gauntlet. The weight given applies only if you're wearing a breastplate, light armor, or no armor. Otherwise, the locked gauntlet replaces a gauntlet you already have as part of the armor. While the gauntlet is locked, you cannot use the hand wearing for casting spells or employing skills. You can still cast spells with some added components, provided that your other hand is free. Like a normal gauntlet, a locked gauntlet lets you deal lethal damage rather than non-lethal damage with a non-armor stack. So, table 6-5, armor and shield. Armor, light armor padded, cost 5 gold pieces. Armor shield bonus +1, maximum dex bonus +8. Armor check penalty 0. Arcane spell failure chance 5%. Speed 30 feet, 20 feet, and weight 30, 20, 10 pounds. Light armor padded, leather, studded leather, chain shirt, medium armor hide, scale mail, chain mail, breastplate, heavy armor, split mail, blended mail, half plate, full plate, shields, buckler, shield, light wooden, shield, light steel, shield, heavy wooden, shield, heavy steel, shield tower, extras, armor spikes, gauntlet, locked, shield spikes. And 1, 2, 3, and 4. Weight figures are for armor sized to fit medium characters. Armor fitted for small characters weighs half as much, and armor fitted for large characters weighs twice as much. 2. When running in heavy armor, you will only triple your speed, not quadruple. A tower shield can instead grant you cover. 3. 4. Hand, not free to cast spells. Leather armor, 10 gold pieces. Armor shield bonus +2, maximum dex bonus +6. Armor check penalty 0. Arcane spell failure 10%. Speed 30 feet, 20 feet, 15 pounds. His weight. Weighs 15 pounds. That's leather armor. Studded leather, 25 gold pieces. +3, +5, -1 armor check penalty. 15% arcane spell failure chance. 30 feet, 20 feet, 20 pounds in weight. CD-ROM or D&D 3rd edition back when it was new. And it had this like list of things, so it's like that with 2 or masterwork one was 302. Dart, falchion, flails, gauntlets, locked, spiked, glaive, great axe, great club, acid, a flask of acid as a weapon. 10 gold pieces. Alchemist fire 20, armor spikes 50, masterwork 350, orc double axe 60, 360, axe throwing 8, 8, battle axe 10, 310, spike chain 25, chain spike club 0 or 300, crossbow hand 100, 400, crossbow heavy 50, 350, crossbow light 35, 335, crossbow repeating 250, 550, dagger 2, 302, punch, silver dart, falchion flint on the side. Great sword 50 gold pieces or 350. Great arm, halberd, half spear, gnome hammer, light hammer, hand axe, holy water flask, javelin, halfling, kukri, lance, heavy, lance, light, longbow, compound, long spear, long sword, mace heavy, mace light, morning star, compound longbow, compound shortbow, compound longbow and shortbows. Net, it's 20 and 13. And nunchakus too. So go back. Net, 20 gold pieces, 10 feet, 6 pounds. That should be over here. That's critical. Is the 10 feet is in the critical. Typo, page 144. A bunch of them actually. 10 feet, 6 pounds. That should be 10 feet there, 6 pounds there. Alright, so 20 gold pieces. Let's see. Spike is 25. 25. Okay, so this is the same as this. That's cool. Plus 3 plus 5 plus 1. 15%. Chain shirt, 100 gold pieces. Armor shield bonus plus 4. Maximum dex bonus plus 4. Armor check penalty -2. Arcane spell failure chance 20%. Speed 30 feet, 20 feet. Weight 25 pounds. Medium armor. Hide 15 gold pieces. Armor shield bonus plus 3. Maximum dex bonus plus 4. Armor check penalty -3. Arcane spell failure chance 20%. Speed 20, 15, and 25 pounds in weight. Hide, 15 gold pieces. Scale mail, 50 gold pieces. Armor shield bonus +4. Maximum dex bonus +3. Armor check penalty -4. Arcane spell failure chance 25%. 20 feet, 15 feet. Weight is 30 pounds. Scale mail. 25 pounds. Yeah. Chain mail, 150 gold pieces +5 +2. -5. 30%, 20 feet, 15 feet. Weighs 40 pounds. Scale mail, 50 gold pieces +4 +3 -4. 25%, 20 feet, 15 feet, 30 pounds. Breastplate, 200 gold pieces +5 +3 -4. 25%, 20 feet, 15 feet, 30 pounds. Heavy armor. Split mail, 200 gold pieces +6 +0 -7. 40%, 20 feet, 15 feet, 45 pounds. And number 2 says, when running in heavy armor, you move triple your speed, not quadruple. Okay, so split mail, 20 feet, 15 feet, 45 pounds. Banded mail, 215 gold pieces +6 +1 -6. 35%, 20 feet, 15 feet, 35 pounds. Half plate, 600 gold pieces +7 +0 -7. 40%, 20 feet, 15 feet, 50 pounds. Full plate, 1,500 gold pieces +8 +1 -6. 35%, 20 feet, 15 feet, 50 pounds. Shields, buckler, 15 gold pieces. Okay, shield on here. Oh. Shield, light wooden, 3 gold pieces +1. No max dex bonus, -1 armor check penalty. Arcane spell failure chance 5%. No speed restrictions. Weight is 5 pounds. 8 figures are for armor size to fit medium characters. Armor fitting for small characters. Hatch. Shield, light steel, 9 gold pieces +1. No dex bonus, -1 armor check penalty. 5% arcane spell damage, no speed problems, 6 pounds in weight. Shield, heavy wooden, 7 gold pieces +2. Armor shield bonus, no dex bonus, -2 armor check penalty. 15% spell failure chance. No speed problems, and weight is 10 pounds. That's a heavy wooden shield. Shield, heavy steel, 20 gold pieces +2. Armor bonus, no dex bonus, -2 armor check penalty. 15% spell failure, and weight is 15 pounds. Shield tower, 30 gold pieces +4, and tower shield can instead grant you cover. Alright, maximum dex bonus +2, armor check penalty -10. 50% arcane spell failure chance. Weight 45 pounds. That's like that. No, let's see. Half plate and full plate armor weighs 50 pounds. And chainmail weighs 40 pounds. Was 30, 45 pounds with the tower shield. Heavy steels with tower extras. Armor spikes plus 50 gold pieces. Gauntlet locked 8 gold pieces. Shield spikes 10 gold pieces. Lock gauntlet is 10 pounds. No, wait. Lock gauntlet is 5 pounds. Armor spikes is 10 pounds. And shield spikes 10 gold pieces and 5 pounds. And not free to cast spells. Yeah, that's 4 on here. Gauntlet locked. Okay. That's trademark. I read all of those. Half plate. A somewhat ineffective compromise between protection and weight. Half plate is actually more restrictive to the wearer's movement than full plate, but offers heavy protection at a lighter cost. Half plate does not have to be resized for new wearers, making it more useful from a battlefield scavenger's point of view. The suit includes gauntlets. Battlefield scavenger is a terrible thing. Scale made of numerous metal or heavy leather scales sewn over a protective backing. Much like banded mail, scale mail covers most of the body and can provide effective protection to those who do not wish a heavier suit of armor, and its commensurate penalties to movement and agility. The suit includes gauntlets. Shield, heavy, wooden, or steel. You strap a shield to your forearm and grip it with your hand. A heavy shield is so heavy that you cannot use your shield hand for anything else. Wooden or steel. Wooden and steel shields offer the same basic protection, though they respond differently to special attacks. Shield bash attacks. You can bash an opponent with a heavy shield, using it as an offhand weapon. See table 6.4 for the damage dealt by a shield bash. Yeah, that was this one back here. I'm not sure I can. Tiny and hard weapon damage. Medium weapon damage 1d2. Tiny is none. Hard weapon damage 1d3. Do 2d10, 2d6 to 4d8. Alright. Light melee weapons, one-handed. Melee weapons. So, shield light. Okay, special. Range, no. Special bludgeoning damage. What damage dealt by shield bash? Spike shield. It's piercing damage. It does 1d3 and 1d4. And 1d2 and 1d3. It's light weapons. Shield heavy. Special 1d3, 1d4. Times 2. 1d3. What is a three-sided dice? Used this way, a heavy shield is a bludgeoning weapon. The purpose of penalties on attack rolls treat a heavy shield as a one-handed weapon. If you use your shield as a weapon, you lose its AC bonus until your next action, usually until the next round. An enhancement bonus on a shield does not improve the effectiveness of a shield bash made with it. A shield can be made into a magic weapon. That's not right. Shield, light, wooden or steel. You strap a shield to your forearm and grip it with your hand. A light shield's weight lets you carry other items in that hand, although you cannot use weapons with it, wooden or steel. Wooden and steel shields offer the same basic protection, though they respond differently to special attacks. Shield bash attacks. You can bash an opponent with a light shield, using it as an offhand weapon. See table 6-4 for the damage dealt by a shield bash. Used this way, a light shield is a martial bludgeoning weapon. For the purposes of penalties on attack rolls, treat a light shield as a light weapon. If you use your shield as a weapon, you lose its AC bonus until your next action, usually until the next round. An enhancement bonus on a shield does not improve the effectiveness of a shield bash made with it, but the shield can be made into a magic weapon. Right. Treat a light shield as a light weapon if you're attacking with it. If you use your shield as a weapon, you lose its armor class bonus until your next action. I don't think you do, but whatever. I mean, I don't think you should. That's what I meant. Shield tower. This massive wooden shield is nearly as tall as its wielder and tends to be very bulky and tiring over protracted use. In most situations, it provides the indicated shield bonus to your AC. However, you can instead use it as total cover, though you must give up your attacks to do so. The shield does not, however, provide cover against targeted spells. A spellcaster can cast a spell on you by targeting the shield you are holding. You cannot bash with a tower shield, nor can you use your shield hand for anything else. When employing a tower shield in combat, you take a -2 penalty on attack rolls because of the shield's encumbrance. Shield spikes. When added to your shield, these spikes turn into a martial piercing weapon that increases the damage dealt by a shield bash, as if the shield were designed for a creature one size category larger than you. You cannot put spikes on a buckler or a tower shield. Otherwise, attacking with a spike shield is like making a shield bash attack. An enhancement bonus on a spiked shield does not improve the effectiveness of a shield bash made with it, but a spike shield can be made into a magic weapon in its own right. An enhancement bonus on a spike shield does not improve the effectiveness of a shield bash. I think it should. You cannot put spikes on a buckler or tower shield, but it's like making a shield. Okay. Splint mail. A hybrid armor that's essentially banded mail made of thin strips of metal aligned between layers of leather and cloth padding. Splint mail is an uncommon sight on the battlefield, but sometimes appears around soldiers without the funds to pay for more effective protection. The suit includes gauntlets. Masterwork armor. Just as with weapons, you can purchase or craft masterwork versions of armor or shields. Such a well-made item functions like the normal version, except that its armor check penalty is lessened by 1. A masterwork suit of armor or shield costs an extra 150 gold pieces over and above the normal cost for that type of armor or shield. 150. 300 according to the program. The masterwork quality of a suit of armor or shield never provides a bonus on attack or damage rolls, even if the armor or shield is used as a weapon. Bonus on attack or damage rolls. You cannot add the masterwork quality to armor or a shield after it was created. It must be crafted as a masterwork item. So write a character, gnome, weapon, armor smith. a dwarf armor smith. A dwarven armor smith character would be great. Can sit there and create a bunch of good armor. I could draw on little cards and have it set up in a little, like he sells it to a little shopkeeper. Table 66. Armor for unusual creatures. 6/6. Size tiny or smaller. Cost times half. Weight times 1/10. That's for humanoid and non-humanoid. Cost times 1 and weight times 1/10. Small times 1 is for humanoid times 1 times 1/2. Non-humanoid times 2 times 1/2. Medium humanoid times 1 times 1. Non-humanoid times 2 times 1. Large times 2 times 2 times 4 times 2. Huge times 4 times 5 times 8 times 5. Gargantuan times 8 times 8 times 16 times 8. Colossals times 16 times 12 times 32 times 12. Divide armor bonus by 2. Table 6/7. Donning armor. Armor type shield any. Don 1 move action. Don hastily not applicable. Remove 1 move action. Padded leather hide, studded leather or chain shirt. Don is 1 minute. Don hastily 5 rounds. Remove 1 minute. Breastplate, scale mail, chain mail, banded mail, or splint mail. 4 minutes, 1 minute, 1 minute. Half plate or full plate. 4 minutes, 4 minutes. 1d4 plus 1 minutes. If the character has some help, cut this time in half. A single character doing nothing else can help 1 or 2 adjacent characters. 2 characters can help each other down or more at the same time.